Joined by our friend Tom Murphy, Whole Hog Sports, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Tom, appreciate you always hopping on with us at this time slot. I want to ask you first just kind of about the basketball thing and everything else. I know everyone's, again, 4 games in conference play. You make your judgments, and a lot of it negative thus far. What do you think's going through the mind of John Calipari and how the season's played out?
Good morning, everyone. That's a good question. Probably we got to keep our nose to the grindstone, improve the areas we can improve, address the areas that are needed, and try to win. Then their next game just happens to be against a team that I think's pulled off the biggest road win in conference play so far at Florida. I mean, this is the same court where the week before they crushed Tennessee by 30. And so maybe Florida, after beating Tennessee and then Arkansas on the road, probably felt like they could roll it out there a little bit against Missouri, but it didn't happen. So huge feather in Dennis Gates and his team's cap. You know, that first round of games on that Saturday, there was one road win, Vanderbilt at LSU, and everybody thought, okay, home teams are going to be basically impregnable. You know, there might be a few breakthroughs. We've seen a ton of breakthroughs in the last 3 rounds of games. So I was thinking about this a lot, y'all. Now, if you're a fan or you cover the team, you think about the mental perspective you take in these games. Okay, Arkansas gets out to a big lead in the first half. Oh, well, we know, what the trend is. The other team's going to come back. That happened at LSU the other night. But we saw a difference. Arkansas bounced back, built back an 8-point lead. And so as fans and as people who cover the team, you're like, well, what's next? We don't know. And I think that mindset might be a part of the team right now. They're not sure about how to close out a game. And so that's what John Calipari and his staff are dealing with right now, instilling the confidence that not only can you come back the way you did early in the second half against LSU and build a lead, you can sustain it and possibly build on it. And that's the next step for this team.
So he's a Hall of Fame coach, Tom. We know that. I don't know if you saw the College Football Hall of Fame and Michael Vick, Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, got a couple other guys in there. What did you make of the latest College Football Hall of Fame class that came out yesterday, I guess?
Well, I guess Saban, I mean, that's a big deal, man. He's only been retired 1 year, but I thought there was some kind of, time deal, but good for him. Clearly, he belongs there. The greatest coach of our lifetime in college football, no doubt. Did he eclipse Bear Bryant? He might have. Dynasty comes to mind, and I don't see anybody building a dynasty in the current makeup of college football. So what he's done, unparalleled. And obviously a really strong class. I mean, look, you can say what you will about Michael Vick and off the field. As a Falcons fan, I appreciated the dynamic running ability he had, and if we'd have had that early this season, who knows? We might have hung on and got a playoff berth.
Tom, I want to circle back to basketball. We were talking earlier, team's 0-4. Obviously, no one's feeling like expectations are met at this point, but what is realistic at this point? Because they're not a 4-0 team either. And I think some of the response and some of the reaction, some of the text, the calls that we get, it's almost as though they expected this team to be undefeated at this point in the year. What should be the record right now for this program and this team in conference play?
Well, I mean, just tracking back, could have, would have, should have hung on and beaten LSU. And then with the 2 home games, I mean, if you're just kind of tracking this out from the start of the season, you think they're 3-1 right now, that they went and found a win at LSU and they won their 2 home games. Now, the Ole Miss loss is looking a little better now after what Ole Miss did. And maybe that's right up there with Missouri as the best road win right now, because they came from behind in the second half and got the lead and then just imposed themselves on Bama. Very impressive.
Yeah.
And then the home. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think if I told you they should be 1-3 right now, that's not unreasonable. 2-2 is like best result, I think, after watching what's unfolded in this league.
Well, certainly the Florida win is here, not a shocker in the least. I mean, they kind of took control of that game too after the 11-2 or whatever Arkansas got off to in that game. So, yeah, 2-2, maybe about reasonable. 3-1 if you really got out to a great start. So, if you're an Alabama fan, I saw a bunch of reaction in social media. It's time to hit the panic button. Well, as a coach and player, you can't do that. You just have to do what I said at the very top. Find areas that you can improve. Holding on to leads better. And here's the thing: you can stack their talent up against Missouri, and those guys are coming off of a huge win, and maybe they think they can just roll it out there Saturday against a team that's really struggling. But I think the SEC has already shown us that you can't do that. I mean, look what Oklahoma's doing. They had a really great non-con,
yep,
and they're struggling too.
South Carolina had a really good season last year in Lamont Paris, and they're also over right now. They'll take on the Sooners this Saturday for one less team to be over in this league. Tom Murphy, our guest, Hawk Sports, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Tom, I know Cal compared it to baseball earlier this season, the strength and toughness of the Southeastern Conference. When baseball is getting closer, got a chance to hear from Dave Van Horn, and one of the things he talked about was just the determination and just kind of how this team exited early the last 2 years in the regional in Baum-Walker Stadium. What do you think is maybe different about this year's team? A couple guys coming back like Diggs and Gackle, but what do you think Dave's trying to do differently than maybe his last 2 years?
Well, that's a great point. They've got to hit in the postseason better, and their aces have to show up. I mean, Hagan, we love Hagan, what he's done, but in the Kansas State game, he and like the TCU game the year before, home regional, for whatever reason, he wasn't locating, and people sat on pitches, and he gave up some extra base hits. And not to pick on him, great kid, very proud. I hope he does great in the league. But I think Dave Van Horn and his staff sense there's going to be a different dynamism in the locker room and maybe on the field, and so I think there's going to be some good battles for positions, like in the outfield. Obviously, they can go into that first weekend and throw all four of their potential starters, the transfers, Root and Beetleshires, and then Gackle and Wood. But then that's got to be narrowed down week 2. So we'll see what happens from there. But what Dave Van Horn and his staff always do is put a competitive product on the field. Razorback baseball fans can show up to the park any day, and they might lose, but they're gonna get a great effort, and the product is going to be there. So I don't see any difference out of this Van Horn team. And so many different faces. They wanted to be more athletic in the outfield, and I hope that plays out.
Yeah, and when you listen to Dave, I know that's always the page everyone's ready to turn, but I liked when he talked about the confidence of this team and that not depending on a Hagan Smith and the balance going into the year. I know that sounds like coach speak to some, and others. The next stop for this program is the national championship, but I like the quiet confidence he kind of displayed yesterday about just the mix of his roster.
He did very well do that, and I think obviously they see the inside of it better than we do, so we will trust his judgment. But that's the good thing about Arkansas baseball is you see them evolve on the field during the course of a year. Different guys' roles expand, decrease, what have you, but the leadership just remains the same. I mean, they've got a great coach, a Hall of Fame coach, and all three of their assistants are outstanding in what they do, and players come here. I mean, they are attracted here, and so the program, having these home regionals, you feel like they're in their favor. They didn't work out the last 2 years, but man, it was a strong run leading up to that, and they want to get back to it, and that's what the aim will be.
Yeah. Hey, college football, I don't know how much power or stroke it's going to have, but I find it interesting from the coaches' convention. They had a unanimous vote about changing the portal. I don't know if that will get it done with that statement, but what did you make of that united front about, hey, let's make some dramatic change with how this transfer portal is done, particularly at the end of the year?
Yeah, and so from the macro view that we have with Sam Pittman, he has expressed how hard that is for the coaching staff to to be confident on what their rosters are going to look like when the portal window is so wide open. And it's the December one that's really hurts because it's costing teams players from bowl games, including teams in the playoffs, and it just seems a little bit chaotic. So I think they're trying to take some steps to get things back in a little bit more, control. The players have a lot of latitude right now. So I just think they want to manage the windows better. And I don't know if they ever get down to having just one window. But there are no perfect solutions, but I think they have to work piecemeal toward, getting a better solution.
Tom, before we let you go, I knew you shared some important news in your life on social media last night. I wanted to kind of give you a chance to share with our audience kind of what's been going on in your life here in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, in late November, man, it was a rough deal. I found out I've got cancer in my throat and a tumor. And Bob knew I was going to the doctor. He kind of knew what was up. And so we sat down before the game at Missouri, and he said, "Hey, how'd that checkup go? How'd that deal go?" And I was like, "Well, it didn't go good. They found something, but I'll tell you after the game." And I never got to tell him. And that still hurts my heart. Hurts my heart that I didn't get to tell Bob I love him one last time. But I have had so much support from people across the spectrum, fans, people all around the country, other people who cover sports have just uplifted me, and I feel really strong going into this. And 8 weeks or so from now, I'll get rechecked, and I hope it's a done deal, man.
Man, we'll be praying for you, and I know that's when you're in that situation, and I've been blessed to not have that, but I've got family members that have been there or currently there. It's never comfortable talking about, the most personal things like your health and the fear of what the result could be. So courageous on your part, and I'm glad you let us all know so we can be praying for you.
Thank you so much, Tommy. And I accept everyone's prayers. So many ex-players reached out. I have a great support system. I feel very confident. I just feel very at ease with the whole scenario, and thanks to all your listeners. I'm sure many of them are ones who responded on social media, and I'm good with it, man. And I'll talk about it as things go on. I'll give updates talking to you guys. Yeah, it sounds good.
It just hearing you talk, it's another reason why we should all just try to take a deep breath and be kind, because you never know what someone's going through in their world that you have no clue about. And
I've been learning that, Tommy. I had 61 years of blessed health, and I just think of this as a minor blip.
Yeah, and you just never know what the person you're dealing with, talking to, negotiating with, working with, whatever, they may be off a little bit today. They may not be acting right, because you never know what's going on in their life that you don't know about, and then you learn things like this, and just another reason to be kind.
Yeah, we got people texting in, Tom, giving feedback, and Mike Benville says he appreciates the perspective that you're taking on this, and got other responses as well. So it's not just me and Tommy, it's all our listeners too, buddy.
It's lovely, and I agree with what you guys say. Yeah, give people some grace, man. Traffic, just life, situations in the restaurant, whatever happens. Give some grace and understanding. Love y'all.
BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball to NHL and UFC, head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use the promo code BELIEVE for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here.